Storyball TV.
One time, right next to a great forest, there was a cottage that a family rented for their vacation. The father and mother went to their rooms, and the children went to their room with the bunk beds. The boy was called Hansel, and the girl's name was Gretel. And ever since they arrived, all the two did was play on their phone and their tablet. Their mother was not pleased. "You two! A day has passed and all you've done since we got here is stare at your gadgets," complained the mother. "Just so you know, we came all the way here to enjoy our break. You should go out and explore nature. I will be keeping these." "But no buts!" The mother took away the children's phone and tablet, and Hansel and Gretel had no choice but to obey their mother. Hansel and Gretel tried walking around the cottage, but there was nothing interesting to see or do. But that's when they saw a pathway leading into the woods.
"Let's explore the woods,"
said Hansel.
"But wouldn't we get lost?" "Don't worry, Gretel. I know what to do."
Hansel picked up a handful of white pebbles from the cottage's garden bed and placed them in his pocket. Hansel took Gretel's hand and they went into the forest. As the two explored the forest, Hansel left a trail of white pebbles so that they would know how to find their way back. As they ventured further, Gretel saw a rabbit and went after it.
Stay still, Bunny!
Gretel yelled.
"Gretel, wait!"
Hansel shouted as he ran after his sister. They ran and ran until Gretel lost sight of the rabbit. Then they realized they were lost. Hansel looked around, checking if there were any white pebbles, but there were none to be found.
I'm sorry, Gretel, but I didn't get to leave pebbles while we were running."
No, I'm sorry, Hansel. I shouldn't have chased after the bunny.
The both of them apologized to each other.
Hansel, I'm cold,
said Gretel. Hansel thought for a moment and then told her,
"Help me gather some twigs. I'll make a swarm."
When they gathered enough twigs, Hansel made a fire to keep them warm for the night. The siblings huddled together and fell asleep. When morning came, Gretel woke up to the smell of something tasty, which made her hungry stomach growl.
Hansel! Hansel! Wake up! Do you smell that?
Hansel woke up, and he indeed smelled something sweet. It made his stomach growl too. They decided to follow the scent with their noses. They sniffed and sniffed. The sweet smell made them drool, for they were very hungry. And when they reached the place where the smell was coming from, they saw that it was a house made of sweets. Hansel and Gretel tore out pieces of the house and gobbled them down. They kept eating, free from getting distracted. But suddenly, the door opened, and a woman as old as the hills as she leaned on a crutch came creeping out. Hansel and Gretel were so frightened that they dropped what they were holding in their hands.
"Oh, you dear children! Who brought you here? Come in and stay with me. No harm will come to you."
The old woman spoke gently. She took them by the hand and led them into her house. She brought them a good meal of milk and pancakes. Afterwards, she made 2 nice beds for them. Hansel and Gretel went to bed, thinking that they were in heaven. But the old woman only pretended to be friendly, for she was a wicked witch. She built her house of bread to lure children to her. The foolish ones she captured, cooked them, and ate them. And to her, that was a day of celebration. Witches have red eyes and cannot see very far, but they have smelling senses just like animals. They know when humans are approaching. So when Hansel and Gretel came to her, she laughed wickedly and spoke scornfully.
Now I have them. They will not get away from me.
Early the next morning, while the children were still asleep, the witch went to their beds and looked at the two of them lying there so peacefully with their full red cheeks. They will be a good mouthful, the witch mumbled to herself. Then she grabbed Hansel with her withered hand and carried him to another room, where she locked him inside a cage. And no matter how much he cried, there was no help for him. Gretel, who was sound asleep, was woken up by the witch. "Get up, lazy bones! Fetch water and cook something good for your brother. He is locked in another room and is to be fattened up. When he's fat, I am going to eat him." Gretel began to cry, but it was all for nothing. She had to obey the witch's demands. Hansel was given the best things to eat every day, but Gretel received nothing but crayfish shells.
Hansel, stick out your finger so I can feel if you're fat enough yet.
But Hansel was clever and stuck out a bone, and the witch, who had bad eyesight, thought it was Hansel's finger, and she wondered why the boy didn't get fat. As days passed and Hansel was still thin, impatience overcame her, and she decided that she would wait no longer.
Gretel, hurry up and fetch some water. Fat or thin, it doesn't matter. I want to eat him tomorrow, the witch growled.
Oh, how the poor little sister sobbed as she was forced to carry the water, and how the tears streamed down her cheeks.
Save your pathetic sniveling, girl. It won't help you.
The next morning, Gretel had to get up early to hang up the kettle with water and make a fire.
First, we are going to bake,
said the old witch.
I have made a fire in the oven and kneaded the dough.
She pushed poor Gretel outside to the oven, where hungry flames leaped.
Climb in and see if it's hot enough to put the bread in yet.
Once Gretel climbed inside, the witch planned to close the oven, bake her, and eat her as well. But Gretel knew what she had in mind, so she said,
I don't know how to do that. How can I get inside? Stupid girl! The opening is big enough. See? I myself could fit in.
And she crawled up and stuck her head into the oven. Gretel gave her a shove. She then closed the iron door and secured it with a bar. The old woman howled frightfully from within as Gretel ran back into the house. She went straight to Hansel and unlocked the cage and cried,
Hansel, we're saved! The old witch is dead!
Hansel jumped out of the cage, and oh, how happy they were! They hugged each other and jumped for joy. They looked around the room and saw that there were chests filled with treasures and jewels. As they got closer to the chests, they suddenly heard the witch.
Do not touch those, for they have placed a curse on me,
said the witch's spirit. She looked different and had a kinder aura.
The treasures corrupt the mind of their owner, and you have released me of that curse after hundreds of years.
The children were shocked at what they heard, and they continued to listen to the witch's spirit.
As my thanks to you, I will use my remaining magic to lead your way back.
Then the witch faded away. Hearing this, the children got excited and tore off pieces from the house's walls and filled their pockets, so they would have something to eat along the way. Hansel and Gretel left the house of sweets, and a ball of fire called the Will-o'-the-Wisps appeared, leading a path into the forest. The two followed the trail until the forest became more and more familiar. They saw the white pebble trail that Hansel left, and the Will-o'-the-Wisps disappeared. They ran towards the end of the pebble trail and saw their parents waiting for them.